the ASCSU's new Director of Diversity and Inclusion.
Then, Rams football is back, and so are the parking laws that you should know about, and future plans for Hughes Stadium. Good evening, Rams. I'm Weston Hubbard, and welcome back to another semester of Thursday Night News.
And I'm Kenny Frederick. We have plenty of news, weather, sports, and entertainment. So let's jump right in. There was controversy surrounding the ratification of the ASCSU's new Director for Diversity and Inclusion at last night's meeting, with some senators saying that it went against the Senate's procedures.
Jocelyn Aji was at last night's Student Senate meeting to be ratified as the new Director of Diversity and Inclusion. But a complication was brought up during the discussion and debate. Senator Ariadne Athey took issue with the fact that Aji wasn't President Christian's first choice for the position. A director had been chosen last semester after a searching and application process had taken place. But that person went no contact with the administration over the summer. The executive office didn't even know if they were still in the country or not. Senator Athey said that it was against protocol to not do another round of searching and applications, and disagreed with how President Dixon chose a new director.
We didn't see any applications sent out or anything, and it feels a little bit like the position was given away.
President Dixon admitted that his communication to the Senate could have been better over the summer, but defended his decision to choose Aji, who was his runner-up after his original candidate.
That position was widely marketed across the board. I went on Instagram, takeover for CSU. We emailed all of the directors, all the stakeholders across campus, went through a very labor-intensive process, and from that we identified a list of individuals. Jocelyn was number 2.
Many of the senators saw an urgency to fill the position as the school year had already started. With several senators voicing that opinion, Aji was unanimously ratified and instated as the new director for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
Aji said that she looks forward to being able to do outreach on campus, trying to make change that is both sustainable and viable for underrepresented groups here at CSU.
In summer of 2020, an arrest of a 73-year-old woman with dementia, Karen Gardner, led to her receiving injuries after being forced to the ground in a way that she had deemed unnecessary. A few weeks of trial and multiple accounts of evidence were presented, including body footage from the officer at the time. Officer Austin Hopper.
On the ground. On the ground.
Officer Austin Hopp will face assault charges for the arrest that occurred. Back when this incident occurred, Austin Hopp had defended his choice, saying that it was due to poor cooperation from the elderly lady and that there was no way that they were going to make it work out. However, due to that footage coming out, he did resign from the force, and as of 2 weeks later, there is no sort of evidence now that he's going to go back and have a mistrial.
528 West Mountain View Ave is the address of one of the oldest buildings in Old Town, at 136 years old. It's also the center of a dispute between the new homeowners and the Fort Collins Historic Preservation Commission. The commission voted 2 weeks ago to recommend that the house should receive a landmark designation. But the new homeowners, Jason and Misha Green, wanted to demolish and rebuild the house due to its deterioration. If the City Council follows this recommendation, it will be the first non-consensual designation in Fort Collins since 1985. Reporter Natalie Devereaux will have a follow-up story talking about the long and notable history of the home at our show next Tuesday at 7.
With a rise in deaths from 2019 to 2020 related on drug overdose, CSU's Prevention Research Center has received a generous award of $350,000 from the National Institute of Food and Agricultural Rural Health and Safety in an effort to help provide training against opioid abuse and to provide assistance to rural areas. Major drug distributors are preparing to give out settlement funds to states, including Colorado, for the contribution to the opioid crisis, which means Colorado will also receive a $300 million settlement fund at the minimum that can be used for a plethora of things, including combating and lowering the crippling addictions that many have. Stick around, Rams. We have more news after the weather with Morgan Gardner.
That's here on CTV 11.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs. And that's still not enough to put food on the table. I am a 16-year-old boy who just got my first job to help feed my little sisters. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew they were hungry.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Morgan Gardner, here to give you a rundown of all things weather. Now, it's no surprise that this week has been hot. I, for one, feel like I'm melting when I walk out of my 3 p.m. class. But luckily, tonight and through the weekend, it's going to cool down a bit. So as we can see right here with current conditions, it's mostly cloudy outside, 77 degrees, with a little bit of wind coming in from the south. With the sunset at 7:30, it's one of those nights where playing sand volleyball or having a picnic on the IM fields is the move. Now tonight, it's a pretty even spread across the region. As we go into our overnight lows, you can see here that across the region, it's going to be relatively the same with a little bit of higher values over in the eastern regions, but over across in the west, it's going to be a little bit lower, making for a pretty cool night. Now, as we go into tomorrow's highs, we can see that, again, it's going to be a pretty even spread. Temperatures in the higher 70s and low 80s. You can see over in Vail and Lyman and things like that, it's going to be relatively warm tomorrow. But you may be wondering, what is it looking like tomorrow in Fort Collins and this weekend? Well, tomorrow it's going to be nice and sunny outside with a high of 83 degrees and a little bit of a possibility for stray thunderstorms or a shower. Overall, it's a nice glimpse into the fall weather because as we're getting into September, it's nice that it's going to cool down a little bit. Now for Labor Day weekend, it's going to be wall-to-wall sunshine. Just look at this. Tomorrow, there's a little bit of a possibility for a stray thunderstorm with highs in the 80s, but Labor Day weekend, it's going to be highs in 83, 88, and 91 on Monday. And you can go outside, take a hike, lounge in the sun, or have a COVID-safe barbecue. Now, Tuesday, it will be a little dry and arid, meaning that the air quality won't be too great. Now, as we know, the fires on the West Coast have made our days filled with smoke and smog. And you can see here the daily quality index, days through the weekend, it's going to be fair, but not too unhealthy or anything like that, with it coming in around 60 or 68, meaning it may be a good idea to close your windows to avoid letting that dirty outdoor air in, or stay inside if you're a little bit more sensitive to smoke. Now, Rams, that is all the time I have for you this evening, but stick around after the break for more news.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
Doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
Oh, gee.
You all right, girl?
You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Seize the awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
There's more news, so let's get right into it.
Back in April of this year, Fort Collins residents voted for the Hughes Stadium land to be purchased by the city. Some of the indigenous members in Colorado, however, want the land to be returned to its rightful owners. after the ballot passed in April, the sales for Hughes Stadium moves forward with a $12.5 million sale for the property in an effort for conservation. The land is intended to be sold to the city of Fort Collins, and the plan was, once acquired, to use the land for areas such as parks, open lands, recreation, and many other land preservation activities. However, members of the Intertribal Alliance for Hughes Land Back advocated for the land and asked that the land instead be returned to its original native stewardship, as it is regarded as spiritual land to them. If not returned, they have at least asked that the city respect the spirit of the land. The city has a vision of community engagement in the future with the land, and spokesperson Amanda King came out with a statement to the Coloradan, saying, quote, "We would absolutely engage our Native American and Indigenous community members in that public engagement process. Members of the tribe are hoping this comes out to be a step towards an alliance and accomplice rather than cause more issues with the already tense relationship that exists between CSU and the native tribes regarding the land. The tension exists because back in 1957, quote, the land was illegally given to Colorado State University on authority of the land grant designation. All eyes will be on the city of Fort Collins in the next couple of months to see what their plan is, and to see if they can make right by the land that is sacred to the members of its spiritual beliefs." Time will tell if the city of Fort Collins can keep their word and respect the spirituality behind this land that means so much to its native tribes.
Tomorrow is our first football game of the year. With all of the excitement comes some important information for students on campus. The university sent out an email yesterday telling students about what game day will look like during normal school hours. Students living on campus will have to move their cars by 9 o'clock tonight to one of these lots. Students off campus will see that most parking on campus will be closed by 7 o'clock in the morning, with other lots kicking students off at 2 in the afternoon. Failure to obey these times will lead to fines and fees of around $240. By 4 in the afternoon, the roads around CSU will all be one way for the game day traffic.
I'm really excited. I transferred, so I'm not really new to Rams football, so I'm kind of excited to go to a game. What about you?
I have not been to Canvas Stadium or a game since literally my freshman year. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be going with
For
friends.
real, football games, I'm ready to be a part of it. All right, well, voters who are looking to make their voices heard on the next ballot for Larimer County will not be seeing one that was sought after, a raise in sales tax to support child care. Beginning early this year, the United Way of Larimer County and Early Childhood Center of Larimer County created a team to make a way for child care to become more affordable for families at cost for living rise across the country. The solution was to come in the form of a 0.25% sales tax that would have supported many different areas of child care. Due to COVID-19 as well, the team called upon the commissioners to put the proposal on the ballot rather than gather signatures. However, the commissioners have stopped the proposal as of now, citing their reasons as worries of how the money would be properly used and the timing of it not being quote-unquote right in their opinion. The ballot comes out in November, so the chances it could end up on the ballot are not impossible, but as of right now, voters can expect for it to not show up.
100 years old is an age that not many get to see. But for Colorado's collective of centenarians, it's an age to celebrate. It would seem that the state would also agree. The Centenarian Project is a promotional activity held by the Colorado Commission on Aging. It highlights the century of achievement for each of its participants. Larimer County's own commissioner will be giving the keynote speech. The event is taking place on September 24th at the Fort Collins Senior Center.
On July 19, 2021, a fatal shooting occurred at the McDonald's located on 2400 South College Avenue. The victim was Christopher Johnson, a 39-year-old man. A suspect was later identified and arrested, Victor Corwin, a 29-year-old male. Corwin's defense attorney has now called for a competency test to be held for his defendant to see if he's even capable to stand trial and be a part of the legal proceedings. Until Corwin is deemed as competent, the trial will be held off. If proved competent, his next expected court date is September 29th, with charges as high as first-degree murder. Well, Rams, that is all the time we have for you tonight.
But stick around for the latest in sports from Cam and Evig.
And later, the best in entertainment from Tom Isaacson here on CTV.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Welcome to your Thursday night sports segment, Cam's Corner. I'm your host, Cameron Evig. CSU's first football game of the season is tomorrow. I'll break down some of the key matchups to keep an eye on, plus find out which Ram athletes survived the last round of preseason NFL cuts. All that and more on Cam's Corner, starting right now. As Brendan talked about on Monday, CSU soccer kicked off fall sports last week against South Dakota. And right now they're in a dogfight down in Greeley against Northern Colorado, currently tied 0-0. In other news, CSU Rams volleyball has also battled the Bears this week, squaring off against UNC this past Tuesday. And to the surprise of Ram fans, Colorado State took the L to Northern Colorado. Their first loss against them since 1982. Let's take a look and see how it all went down. To start the night off, things were looking up for CSU, winning the first set 25-11 and the third 29-27. But in the end, they came up falling short in the last set 13-15, giving UMC the W. The Rams just had no answer for junior Mackenzie Harris, who finished with a career-high 14 kills. Looking ahead, the women will try to bounce back from an 0-2 start when they travel to Chapel Hill on Friday to face the Tar Heels. And from bunts and spikes to tackles and catches, football is finally back at CSU. Tomorrow night against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits here at Hughes Stadium. Now the Rams won't have an easy game come 7 o'clock. The Jackrabbits went a respectable 8-2 last season to finish atop the Missouri Valley Conference, while the Rams, on the other hand, finish at just 1-3. But enough of the background, let's look at the keys to the game. With QB Todd Santero back under center and one of the best tight ends in the country, Trey McBride, to throw to, look for the Rams to take advantage of their pass-catching big man all throughout this one. Right, plus the talent. The pass-catching talent doesn't stop. Dante Wright is still as explosive as ever, putting up over 800 yards his freshman year just 2 years ago. Look for the Whiteout to have a big season this year for CSU. The Jackrabbits, on the other hand, already have their big-time player in running back Isaiah Davis ready to go. Davis put up 10 touchdowns and 818 yards last year as a freshman, and stopping him from getting going will be a key to a Rams victory. And now moving things from college to the pros, the NFL preseason has come and gone, and with the regular season almost here, I thought it'd be as good a time as any to check in on some of the most successful next-level Rams. Let's start things off with one of the best pass rushers in the league, Shaquille Barrett. Shaq has been a force to be reckoned with ever since he entered the pros with the home state Denver Broncos, but for the last 3 seasons, he's been wearing a Tampa Bay jersey. And Tom Brady and the crew could not be happier with the production he's been putting up. The former NFL sack leader is a key part of a Bucs defense, which is easily top 5 in the league, recording 8 sacks last year on what ended the season as a championship squad. Look for Shaq to get closer to that 19.5 sack mark he set back in 2019. Moving on, you can't talk about CSU being wide receiver without wide receivers. And Michael Gallup is one with a large role on an explosive Cowboys offense. Although Gallup is now wide receiver 3 on his team, it is not due to lack of skill. It's pretty hard to win a top 2 spot when you're battling Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Still, though, Gallup is set up for a great year in this high-powered Dallas attack led by Dak Prescott. And with how much they throw the rock, it wouldn't be no surprise to me to see the former Ram hit over 1,000 receiving yards like he did back in 2019. And shifting focus from another Fort Collins receiver, Rashad Hollywood Higgins has established herself as being QB1 Baker Mayfield's most trusted targets. But although he had nearly 600 receiving yards last year, Hollywood's spot as wide receiver 3 isn't nearly as safe as Gallup's is in Dallas. Emerging second-year receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones is on the hunt for that second outside spot and can very well eat at Higgins' production this season. Other notable Rams from around the NFL include Titans starting left tackle Ty Sambrello. who helped his running back Derrick Henry rush for over 2,000 yards last season. Wideout Preston Williams, who continues to carry out a role in Miami offense even after a season-ending foot injury last November. And to hit it off, Olabisi Johnson seemed like he was in for a good year in Minnesota until an unfortunate ACL tear at training camp ended his season before it could really even get started. And well, Rams, that's all I got for you today. Be sure to come back to Cam's Corner next week for all your sporting news. But don't go anywhere just yet. Tom has got everything in entertainment for you right after this.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Good evening, Rams and Ram fans. My name is Tom Isaacson, and I'm here to make sure you're caught up on the world of entertainment. We've got a full-force show for you tonight, so don't touch that remote. And tonight we start with some local food news. What, you expected different? I'm a hungry guy, don't at me. This local nonprofit is looking to get food out of the landfill and onto your dinner table. The Vindicate Foods nonprofit is on a mission to save good foods that are still edible from ending up in the dump where the food won't be anymore. The organization, entering its 4th year of life, hopes to eliminate food waste by hosting markets for people to come and take out-of-date but still good foods for use so they don't end up in the trash. Working in a grocery store myself, I know just how much good food goes to waste, and it's really inspiring to see this. Now, how many of you out there are Grateful Dead fans? Those with dreads needn't raise their hands, we get it. Well, if you're a local Dead fan, you're going to want to hear about this. Shakedown Street, a local band and one of the nation's longest-running Dead tribute bands, recently returned to the Aggie after the 18-month-long pause on local music. Crowds of tie-dye-wearing Deadheads were seen outside the venue, and the band couldn't be more excited to greet them. Playing classics like Bertha and Gimme 5, I'm Still Alive. I couldn't be more excited that local and live music is back in Fort Collins. And speaking of a return to normal, can we all just take a minute and appreciate that the Rams are back on campus? I know I'm thrilled, but I want to know how the rest of the students felt. So I took to the famous CSU Plaza to ask what other students thought. And here's what I found.
For older students, it's refreshing. For instructors, it's invigorating. For freshmen, it's exciting. And for sophomores, it's, well, interesting for sure.
How many times have you guys gotten lost already?
Oh, more than 5, for sure.
I was going to say at least 3, so.
Oh, plenty. I have this nice little map on my phone, so, I can pull that up, but I look like a freshman walking around.
CSU is back and in full swing, with students back on campus and making it clear that's where they want to be.
If you could choose between in-person or online, which one would you pick?
Definitely in person. It's kind of got a little depressing, just staying in my room all day.
In person.
In person.
In person, definitely. Say all in person, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, all in person, no doubt. Not a doubt in my mind.
Though, that's not to say there were not some benefits to being online.
Well, I'd say the best part is being able to stay in your own home. Of course, that's pretty obvious.
I think it was convenient also being able to, stay kind of in your room or, close, because then, on snowy days, you wouldn't have to walk outside.
But overall, students and staff are excited that the Rams are back.
It's invigorating. There's a whole lot of energy. I kind of forgot where that comes from, and so it's really nice to be around that energy again.
I definitely like walking around campus and actually going in person now.
After spending my first year online, it's so exciting to see campus full of life. I'm sure the novelty will wear off soon, but showing up to lecture with 300 other people is just so fun. I'm really glad to be back. All right, how do you intend to spend your Labor Day weekend? I know I'm probably spending it on my couch, thankful for the small break already. But there is something happening this upcoming Monday for those who don't share my interest. The Fortitude 10K is happening this Monday right here at Hughes Stadium, and it looks to be a big event. Starting on Laurel Street, then going up and around City Park, and finishing at the amazing Hughes Stadium. I've got huge respect for those runners who compete in these events. It's certainly more determination than I'll ever have. Now, if those Labor Day plans are a little extreme for you, and trust me, I get it, try this one out. The Taste of Colorado event is happening this weekend in Denver. Starting every day from 10 a.m. from the 4th to the 6th with free admission. Lots of live music, tons of great food, and other great attractions are sure to delight all those who attend. All of it is going to be local to Colorado, and I'm sure you're going to see tons of Fort Collins influence. Honestly, it looks like a fantastic time. Well, Rams, that's going to take care of everything we have for our show tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in this evening. We here at CTV hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, and we will see you back here again on Tuesday. Good night.